So the Canadian Art Therapy Association says that art therapy combines the creative process and psychotherapy. It uses self-exploration and understanding. It uses imagery, color, and shapes as part of this creative process, so that thoughts and feelings that can be expressed that would otherwise be difficult to articulate. And the American Art Therapy Association says that art therapy is a mental health profession in which the clients, facilitated by the art therapist, uses art media, the creative process, and the resulting artwork to explore their feelings, reconcile emotional conflicts, foster awareness, manage behavior and addictions, develop social skills, improve reality orientation, reduce anxiety, and increase self-esteem. So it was first introduced in Canada in the late 1940s, 1940s, by a psychiatrist, by Dr. Martin Fisher. At that time, he offered art therapy to psychiatric patients at Lakeshore Psychiatric Hospital in Toronto. He also introduced art therapy to children and was a consultant to the then Children's Aid Society of Ontario. And he also established the Toronto Art Therapy Institute in 1968, and that was the first program in Canada to offer training in art therapy. So art therapy, as we can see, is not just for children. And in the late 1940s, Selwyn Dilney, an artist, also used art therapy with psychiatric patients at the Westminster's Veteran Hospital in London, Ontario, as well as the London Psychiatric Hospital. So it just blossomed from there. So how can art therapy help and assist in mental health? So art therapy engages all the senses to relax the nervous system. Art making causes a shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system. So what happens is improved self-regulation, reduction in anxiety, feeling more in control, improved executive functioning, and acceptance and integration with our whole self, with a whole person. Art therapy also provides a non-verbal way for people to connect. I think the psychiatrists earlier talked about that, how difficult it is sometimes, right, for people with schizophrenia or with psychosis to express themselves. So art therapy offers an opportunity for people to connect, to express their thoughts and their feelings that are difficult for them to communicate by words, either because of their age, because of their experiences with trauma, because of any cognitive issues, or because of either mental health or physical health concerns. So there's a term called alexithymia. Basically what that means is a difficulty in expressing, experiencing, and describing emotions in words. It's a difficulty describing our feelings to other people. And we know that people with schizophrenia may experience symptoms such as hallucination, or distorted or false perceptions. They get frustrated. I think I get frustrated when I can't express myself, right? And that's once in a while. Most of the time, most of us here are pretty good in expressing ourselves and telling people how we feel when we want to say that. But for people who are sick, sometimes that is quite difficult. And you can imagine how that frustration can be, how that frustration can build up over time when they cannot express how they feel in their words. And of course, the family, their friends, people around them are frustrated as well because they cannot understand the person. Or whatever the person says, it seems that whatever they say is just not enough. It cannot capture the magnitude of their intense feelings. What art therapy can do is it can provide a venue for the person to express the emotions and feelings without using words. It is non-threatening. They don't have to answer questions. You know, I can imagine when, because they don't express themselves a lot, people tend to say, how are you feeling? What do you think? I'm just thinking, if I'm them over time, I'm going to think, I don't want to answer your questions anymore. Right? I know a certain experience as a mental health clinician at the hospital. Like sometimes people come in and they say, like, are you going to ask those same questions? All of you ask the same questions. The doctors ask them, the nurses ask them, the social workers ask them. I'm sick and tired of answering them. So this is a way in art therapy, they don't have to answer any questions. They just work it through and tell you in pictures. And in therapy, they're given time and they're given space to process their own thoughts and feelings. It's also very tactile. You know, they use their hands, whether it's with crayons, pastel, acrylic, watercolor, clay, whatever it is. They engage with their hands. And it helps to keep them focused and help them express themselves a little bit more. So here you can't read it, I'm just going to read it to you. It's a quote from a rehab professional who worked in a halfway home for patients with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. This is in Bangalore. And she wrote that for persons with schizophrenia, art therapy is a healthy form of distraction from various symptoms such as disturbing thoughts, hearing voices, etc. The 1 to 2 hour therapy sessions help the persons to focus on the activity assigned to them and ignore the voices in their head, or stop talking to themselves, apart from providing a forum for creative expression. So what can you expect from art therapy? So it can be part of a group, in group therapy or individual therapy. The participants do not have to be artists. They don't have to have artistic skills. They do not need to have, be creative or have imagination. The emphasis is on the process of self-discovery, self-expression, and the personal development and integration. The artwork they do can be spontaneous, depending on how they feel that day, or can be directed, and there may be a theme to that day. Now this is important because art therapy is not an art class. I have sometimes people coming into the group and say, oh, I'm so looking forward to learning how to draw. This is not what it's all about. So art therapy is a relationship between the participant and the therapist. It's confidential. Whatever gets shared in the group or individually stays there. It's an expression. It's not, the importance is not in the resulting artwork. The tools are there, the supplies, the mediums that we provide are there as a tool. It's used for expression. It's just as a means. It's a process that's important, it's not the product. The product, when it's pretty, it's fine, that's great. But it's not the product, it's the process. It's a process of reflection and communication for them to communicate to us. What I say to the participants in a group, and I say, no, you're here, I'm not teaching you anything. Most of our groups at the hospital, we do skill teaching, cognitive behavior therapy, dialectical therapy. We teach. This is not about the facilitator teaching them anything. It's about them exploring. Through the process of exploring, they're going to be telling me about what they're thinking, how they're feeling. A lot of people don't like group work, but group work is actually really good because it provides a space and a place for social interaction and connection, reduces isolation. Because they're with someone, it also helps them to relearn some of the communication skills that they have lost because of the illness. So what art therapy is not. It's not about making pretty pictures or pretty images. It's not about making unhealthy artists feel better. It's not about interpreting hidden messages, and this is very important. It's not about distracting people from their problems. In proper therapy, especially when I do individual therapy, it is not about distracting them from the problem. I encourage them to go into it as using art to solve their problem, but it can also be helpful as a way of distraction when someone is very anxious or intense. So we get asked this a lot. Do I tell you what is going on in your head when you do the artwork? You know what? I don't know what goes on in your head. I may have a guess, and you can tell by some of the artwork I'm going to show you afterwards that there may be a guess that I think this may be what it is, but I really don't know. Because the participants, you are the one who's creating it. You are the author of your artwork. Only you know what something actually means. And I learned this lesson through a few hard ways. I've had one of my patients, it was an individual session, and he made this beautiful rose out of clay. And I thought, oh, how lovely. What a pleasant thought. Are you going to go home and give it to your wife? And he said, no. In his culture, they give roses to the dead at funerals. So to me, it was like, oh gosh, no. Do I ever learn? But I've learned from that experience that we don't interpret what they say or what they mean. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to show you some artwork that our patients have done. I'm not going to go through and explain every single one, but I'll go through some of them. But also just to let you know, whatever I'm showing here, I do have verbal consent from them to take their pictures and show it. We don't use fancy art supplies. I use very simple art supplies. Of course, being from the hospital, we have a limited budget as well. So plain paper, watercolor, pastels, pencil crayons, acrylic, clay. People can use their hands, they can get dirty and messy. People can use sponge, use brushes. They can be as creative as they want. It really doesn't matter. The tables, the whole room can get as messy as they want it to be. My only request, the only rule is respect for each other, not to squirt paint at anyone, on my ceiling, on the floor, on the wall. Otherwise, they can do whatever they want. So here, this is something we did in our 10-week group at the end. If you can believe it, this is spontaneous. We do this at the end of a 10-week group, and we have two huge canvases, 24 by 36 each, and we just ask them just to go and express themselves. So the theme for this one was gratitude. This is on gratitude. We're actually going to be presenting this to one of our sponsors who sponsor our women's wellness clinic. Gratitude, we've got about 20 women in that group, and we only have 2 artists. And so one of the artists did the outline of the hands for us. Everything else is just everyone expressing themselves in the way they want to express themselves. This is on hope. Yeah, this was another group that did after 10 weeks. That's what they did on hope. This is on one canvas. This is hope. You don't have to be an artist. It can be anything.